All right, awesome. Actually, let me do that. I'm pinning myself because that way I know some people don't want to be on the recording, on the video recording. All right, so I was starting to say, I did the original recording for Joy probably 3 years ago. I started recording these sessions, I think maybe it was COVID. I can't remember why, but anyway, I started recording them about 3 years ago, and I've just evolved in how I do these sessions. I was trained, I don't even remember now. It's like starting, I think, at the head and the feet and different things, and I've just kind of made it my own. But I love using the forks this way because it's you're combing people's field the same way I did it originally, but I'm doing it across body instead of out in the field in. And it's sort of like, is the information organized chronologically, or in this case, is it organized on the body? And there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just different. I like it on the body because I personally can feel it, but also it sometimes is a little more meaningful for people on the receiving end. But okay, but today's session, it's going to be on joy. And the reason I want to do this one again is because joy is a currency. It is a state of being that really allows us to move forward in those places in life where we want to go. And if you're into like law of attraction or sowing and reaping or any of that kind of stuff, those are real spiritual principles and phenomena. And the driver behind all of it is emotion. And it's like the fuel that you get to put in your car. And joy is like rocket fuel. And so we want to be cultivating joy. And so what we're going to be doing is I'll be combing the field. I'll be starting at the heart for those who are new to my sessions. I'll be starting at the heart, and well, we'll see. Sometimes I do kind of outgoing energy patterns and then incoming. Sometimes I do it what I call ascending, and sometimes I'll do what we call descending. But either way, we're going to cover the whole field, and then I'll actually end up at the heart again. Your job during the session is just relax. You can. I will ask you to turn your audio off, but other than that, you can keep your video on or off. I don't actually need to see you. I'll be feeling what's in the space. And, but if you do have questions, well, actually, because we're recording, we'll just save them for the end. We will come back at the end and kind of do a recap if people have questions, or maybe want to go over some of the things that came up during the session. Before I start, does anyone have any questions? Some of you I know have been on these live sessions, and some of you are new, which is great. No questions? Joe, did I cover everything? I sometimes forget.
Yeah, no, I think you covered everything.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn my video off just because every now and then the bandwidth here gets in this particular room can get a little bit glitchy, and I want to stay with you at least with the sound. But like I said, relax, be comfortable. You can get up. It's not going to mess up the session. And again, the intention of this session is to find those places in our field where we're resisting joy. There's just something, maybe a fight flight response in our field, and we're just gonna go in and get that energy pattern moving again, because that fight flight response causes it to be frozen and stuck. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, get comfortable, guys. This is gonna be fun. I'm excited. And I am recording this with another device too. So give me a minute to get that going. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with and just for those of you on the video recording, I've been told, started a couple months ago, that it's hard to hear the tuning forks through the computer. So if you don't hear the tuning fork, um, it's okay. It's not about the sound you're hearing through the computer or through the recording. It's actually the work is being done in the field in the room that I'm in right now. So like I'm starting now, you may or may not hear me striking the fork, activating the fork. But I'll talk us through it. I started the heart, and maybe it was about 2 years ago. It's the place I can get the clearest connection to that part of us that is full of joy. It's that part of us that knows who we are, is confident in who we are. And what I found is when I start here, it's sort of like opening up the floodgates, and then all the debris we're trying to clear out just gets cleared out on its own. It just makes it a lot easier to comb the field and get those places that aren't quite in alignment with where we're going. And it always feels a little bit differently. Right now, it feels just a lot like peace and calm. A lot of times we think joy is a really um, high energy emotion, but you can have low states of joy as well. One of my favorite stories is a group. They're a group. Some of them are from Chicago, California, different places, and they basically did brain scans of people in a state of joy. But then they realized it's the same part of the brain that lights up when you're experiencing someone being glad to be with you. So the way they define joy is the feeling you have when you know or are experiencing somebody or something being glad to be with you, which I think is really kind of neat. So it can be a high energy joy or just hanging out with somebody joy. And right now it feels a little bit like that lower energy joy. It feels like knowing you are valued and appreciated. Wow, it feels actually really good. It just felt really clear, like that signal was just coming in loud and clear. And for some of you, you're going to feel things happening. Some of you won't, and it's okay. You don't need to be feeling what's going on for it to be happening. Some people are just a little more sensitive than others. So what I'm doing now is I've learned that there's something, just like we have a pericardium around our heart, there's almost like an energetic pericardium. If you are familiar with emotion code at all, um, they refer to it as a heart wall. I don't see it as a heart wall. It's more like a heart filter. It can be a wall, but it's usually more like a screen or a filter. And what happens is it's just a part of us where we are not so sure. Like we're just kind of, for whatever reason, we're just kind of holding that energy back a little bit. So I just feel around to see where that's happening. Energy does not flow around us uniformly. It goes in all different kinds of directions. And what I've found is this energy from the heart, if you want to see it often like the language heart chakra or heart gateway, or energy center. Some people use energy center. It's not necessarily this perfect spherical ball of energy. It's more like a balloon that you could push and press and goes in different directions. So there, some places it flows really well, and sometimes it's not. So I'm just feeling for those places where there may be resistance. And then what I do, if you're new to this process, what I do is I just hold the fork in the field. The forks are functioning as a pattern disruptor. Like at any given moment, we're constantly creating an invisible energetic structure around us all the time. And what we're doing is we're intentionally disrupting the pattern. Think of a river flowing and you just put your finger in it. You know, you're disrupting the pattern. And then when the session's over, we'll remove, you know, obviously the fork is no longer there. The pattern's no longer disrupted, but we're using it as an opportunity to slip in another story, another message. In this case, it's the message of joy, because it really is who we are. And I sometimes use the analogy of, we interrupt this broadcast to give you an important message. If you've ever had that happen on the radio or television, that's sort of what we're doing. We're using these forks to interrupt the normal pattern that your body might be making. And we're slipping in the message of joy. Which is our state of being. Like, we really are created for joy. We're created out of joy, for joy, just for the thrill of companionship and partnership. We are here because there is a divine being that, or entity, whatever, that wants to enjoy us. The world, the universe, God is glad that you are here. You are enjoyed. And that's the message, because energy really does flow in a cycle. So it's we release joy and we receive it. If you want the cycle to be complete, energy flows in a circuit, just like a light switch. A light switch is just a circuit breaker. And so we want to check the giving of joy and the receiving of joy. And it doesn't really matter which comes first. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, that actually feels really good. So I was just kind of opening up the space around the heart and getting that, like I said, there's a part of us that already knows it. It's like it is already giving and receiving joy. So the idea is to open that up so that that pattern can just flow. If you track with heart math, you know the biggest electromagnetic field around us comes from the heart. But in the work that I'm doing, what I'm coming to understand is that other parts of us can start to tack on things to that original message. It's almost like a game of telephone. Your heart is releasing the message. You are enjoyed. You are a being of joy. And then all of a sudden you get to your head, for example, and it might add on, let's say that's the message that you want to, that your heart is invisibly, energetically broadcasting out into the world. But then all of a sudden your head adds, a little part of you, head adds the message, oh, I don't really believe that. So now this message is going out with kind of confusion. Or, I don't believe that. Let me hold it back. let me take my foot off the gas pedal, so to speak. Let me slow that message down. Let me make it small. So we're going through and we're going to find those places that are trying to resist that message. So I'm working up right now. I'm going from the heart up towards the throat. And what I'm feeling for is if there's any resistance, or sometimes, or what I like to call turbulence. Like if you're flying a plane, you hit turbulence. That's going to be a place where there's just something in the field that's just saying, I'm not so sure about that. If you do parts work or shadow work, that's what we're tapping into. What I love about these sessions and what really got me into them, I was doing this type of work. I've been doing it for over 20 years, but we were always trying to go in through your memory, through your mind in some way, trying to, can you remember a time or something like that? What I love about this is you can go straight to the energy pattern, and you don't have to know when something happened or how something happened or anything. You can just find the energy pattern where that kind of fear-based response is stuck and clear it right from there. So right now it's a little bit in the throat. And throat energy it really energetically, just like it is in our body, physical bodies, it really is, can be a little bit of a bottleneck. So what I'm doing is I'm gently kind of moving through the field, opening it up as well. If the energy is moving up, it's often like what I'm doing right now. This is going to be impacting the energy of expression, the releasing of joy. If it's coming the other way, if it's going down, which is why I do it in both directions, it has a different feel to it. It's more like, I can't swallow that, or that's a bitter pill to swallow, or something along those lines. It's usually when we're not wanting to receive something. This feels so what I'm picking up on is there's just especially I'm picking up on it over the left shoulder, not so much on the right shoulder. Everybody organizes their energy uniquely, but there are patterns, and shoulder energy, I've come to understand, is actually throat chakra energy. It's think about it, we express ourselves with our hands. And the other thing that is throat chakra energy, which kind of surprised me, but there's just, and maybe it's other things too, but I've just seen it so many times over the years. It's the energy of carrying a burden, like a weight, a burden to bear. And that's what this feels like. It's mainly over the left shoulder. It just feels really thick. So let me just see what that is. It's clearing up. Sometimes we don't even need to know what it is if we just hold it there and disrupt the pattern. So we each have our unique opportunity and privilege, and maybe even responsibility to speak what's in our heart, to express what's in our heart. Like nobody else gets to do that but us. And what this feels like, the reason I'm saying that is because what this feels like is almost like maybe we didn't speak our truth, we didn't express ourselves, we held back. It wasn't so much that we said something, it was almost like we didn't say something. And in not saying something, we ended up carrying a burden. It almost feels like, if you've ever had this experience, I should have said no, but now I'm stuck doing this thing, and I just didn't want to hurt their feelings. I didn't want to, whatever. I wanted them to like me. I wanted to be the good guy or whatever. So I agreed to, it almost feels like we've agreed to do something that we really didn't want to do. And it feels heavy, just feels really heavy, but it's clearing. So there are several ways I've learned to read the energy. The first with the forks is you can listen to the sound. The sound changes when you hit one of these places of fight, flight, or that sympathetic nervous system response. But you can also feel it. I mentioned flying an airplane. You're flying an airplane and it literally, all of a sudden you hit a patch of turbulence. The fork will literally shake in my hand differently. The vibrational change. It's like you went from a paved road to a gravelly road. Sometimes it feels like two magnets, either attracting each other or repelling each other. And those are all representing, think about it, that sympathetic nervous system response is you're going to either be fighting something, you're going to be fleeing, running away, or avoiding. That's almost always that, like magnets repelling. You literally can feel it with the fork. But there's also a phenomenon, I like to say friend, because if you think something is really good, you often don't want to let go of it, so you hold on to it. So that's why I say you either fight something. If you're afraid, if you're operating out of fear, you're either fighting something, you're resisting it or running away or hiding, or you could actually be clinging to it because you're afraid to let it go because you think it's good. So there's a little bit of that energy in here that I don't want to let this go because it feels good. And it feels like it's good, but it's not a healthy good. It's a fear-based response. But then the other way, I sometimes see pictures in my head. I'll get a flash or a scene will show up in my head telling me what's going on. Sometimes I'll get words. And then the other way is I will feel it in my body. For those, some of y'all know my story, but when I was really sick with Lyme for years and other things, spent a lot of time in bed. And one of the things I realized, one of the ways I got out of it is doing energy work. I realized I could move energy around in my body, but then there were certain places it didn't want to go. And so I learned different techniques on how to open up the energy to get it flowing. But I've always been very aware of how my body feels. And so when I do these sessions, by the way, I'm moving up from the throat. That I was able to clear the stuff at the shoulders. I'm moving up now, kind of mouth, bridge of the nose, forehead area. And it's thick, by the way. It's the resistance feeling, like the fork doesn't want to move. But I've become very sensitive. Like I know how my body feels. And so my body, and I used to ask my body to do this during sessions. I'm like, hey, you help me out here because I can read my body so well. I'm like, you help me out here. Let me know what's going on. And one of my favorite stories is, this was years ago. It was the night before I was going to do a session. And I just said, hey, all right, body, help me out. If I'm going to go too fast or miss a spot, I just said, just, let me know, like, give me a shock or something. Well, I forgot I had said that. And the next day during one of my sessions, I literally dropped the fork because I felt a zap in my hand. And all of a sudden I was like, what was that? All of a sudden I hear, well, you said to shock you if you were going to go too fast. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'll use my body. So I'm sitting here at the kind of the third eye area, and it's just thick. If I'm being honest with you, it's just really thick, heavy. Let's see. It's just stuff we all know. I'm busy. I've got a lot to do. This feels hard. Just a lot of thinking, a lot of thought noise in there. Like it sounds like it's a room full of people, just everyone kind of explaining why. Like, oh, I can't do this because, explaining why they're not experiencing joy. So let's break that pattern up. And I do tell stories because I'm actually talking to the energy that is in the space here. It is a part of us. It's not like there's the conscious, aware, part of you, but then there are all these, subconscious parts of us that we are getting an opportunity to speak to. I sometimes use the analogy of, imagine we're all communicating with walkie talkies, and we're communicating. We're recording this in 2023. We're all on the 2023 channel, but there might be a part of you that's stuck 20 years ago. So they're not functioning in the now, in the current time. And so it's almost like it just, you just don't have access to it. And so what these forks are doing is they're temporarily disrupting the pattern, creating coherence, creating a coherent field. And it's an opportunity to say, hey, we're in 2023, switch your channel. We want you back. Get back into the present moment. Because the way I see these patterns, by the way, this is clearing up. So I tell these stories because it's an opportunity to tell that part of us that's been offline, it's been stuck in the past. Believe it or not, it can be stuck in the future too. To get it back, get everyone on the same page during the session, get all of you operating in the same time, same space, so that we can get these parts of us kind of back online. There's no part of you that's missing. There's no part of you that's bad or broken or wrong or anything like that. It's just, it can just be, I don't know, offline is maybe the best way I know how to describe it right now. It can just be offline. This right now, this is a part of us that it's not wanting to, it's like it's getting stuck in the head. Let me see how far up it goes. It just feels like it's like we're wanting to stay small, wanting to not be big. And so we're supposed to be big. We're supposed to be seen. We're supposed to be known. It's okay to, or let me say it this way. We just don't want to get stuck in any one pattern. I use the analogy of a keyboard a lot. If we're an instrument, if we're a keyboard, you don't have to play every note at one time. That would be kind of chaotic. But you don't want notes to be stuck either. You don't want them to be stuck on, and you don't want them to be stuck off. You want them ready to be played when you're ready to play it. And what this energy pattern feels like is like, let's say it's a part of our song, and where we want to be loud and big and make a lot of noise, and it's almost like there's a part holding back. And the word I'm getting is, oh, you don't want to be. It's almost like it's like a grumpy old person, like, I don't, they're just too loud, they're being obnoxious, that type of thing. It's just a part that's in a bad mood. So let's find out. Well, and like I said, we may not even need to know what happened. Let's just get that part reconnected so that it's not grumpy, so it can enjoy being joyful, enjoy being playful, enjoy being with other people. So it can know that it is enjoyed. So I also do mindset coaching, and one of the strategies I use is they're kind of 4 prompts. If you're trying to make a connection with someone, and that's what we're doing here, we're trying to make connections with these parts of us that are a little offline. It's I see you, like that's just us. Like in this case, we're seeing that there's a part of us that doesn't feel like it's enjoyed. We're listening. Is there anything you need to tell us? Is there anything we need to know? So I see you, I hear you. And then the third prompt is, I'm glad to be with you. And what that means is, I'm not going to leave you. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to condemn you. And the fourth is, I can do something about it. And that's what these sessions are all about. They're about finding those parts of us that have been hidden or offline, so we're seeing them. And we're not judging them as bad or broken or wrong. And what we can do about it is we can reconnect them to the rest of us. Because it's offline because somewhere, somehow, it got the message that it was being condemned. It was being rejected. And by the way, we do this to ourselves, or we inherit it, but it's the idea is that we're just trying to connect everything, reconcile everything back to our heart. But it's a part that just got offline because something happened somewhere in the past, and we decided that part of us was either bad, wrong, broken, undesirable, whatever. And we decided to shut it down. We decided to separate ourselves from that part of us. Most of us have heard of fight, flight, and freeze. What I'm from in an energetic perspective, fight, flight is when you go into that sympathetic nervous system response, or like I said, friend earlier. But then if you don't know how to get out of it, if you can't get rid of the threat, if you don't have peace about letting something go and you stay in that state, you then go into freeze because life goes on. Like you have to keep moving, but it's a type of disassociation energetically. It's almost like you keep moving forward in time, but it's a little piece of you that you just kind of, I like to say, you put a time, location stamp on it. And you just kind of said, until I know how to handle this, I can't handle it. So I'm just going to keep moving forward with my life. And it's like you encapsulate it with an invisible, energetic, invisible time, location, stamp, or like just a little container. but it's still there. It's still you. And it's always looking to be reconciled back to the present moment. So again, you're not, no part of you is missing. It's just a part of you that you're not able to access because you, at some point in time, we put it behind this invisible energetic prison or container. And that's what we're doing. We're finding those parts of us, and we're saying, hey, we're older now, time has passed, we're more mature, whatever language you want to use, and we're here to bring you back. Because every part of us has memories, it has emotions, it has thoughts, it has an age, it has a personality, it has it's also part of responsible for part of our physiology. So this is doing this type of work is how I recovered. I stopped focusing on all of the bacteria and fungus and viral infections I had, and just started focusing on getting myself out of that fight flight response, working on my nervous system. And the more I did that, the more I brought myself back online, the more I just started to recover, because it goes hand in hand. So what I'm doing now is I'm just combing the field. I started by doing the ascending energy from the heart to the top of the head. And now I'm doing the ascending coming from under the feet back to the heart. And so there's like it feels like resistance. It feels like the two magnets repelling each other. I'm trying to see where it starts. It starts below the feet, but it's almost like a traffic jam where you want to find out where's the accident. You know where the backup is. Okay, it pretty much extends all the way up the legs. So okay, I'm going to start. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the heart and just kind of almost like a sweeping action. So I'll go a little bit below the heart and sweep towards the heart, and a little bit lower there, and do it that way. Because it's not, sometimes these patterns, there's just a little something there, and sometimes it's like in this case, it's pretty much the whole length of the body from the feet almost all the way to the heart, but mainly the legs. For those of you who know me, I use a lot of analogies because it's invisible and you're trying to describe something that is hard to describe because you can't see it. So it's almost like some of these are like big potholes and some of them are like traffic jams. And you handle them a little bit differently. Okay, so I'm now working, actually, I'm going to work my way back to the feet, but I'm at the solar plexus now. Just for those who want to track with where I am. This almost just feels like it's I'm trying to find the right words for it. Just low energy, maybe, almost like, is it okay to be joyful? Am I going to get in trouble? No, you're not going to get in trouble. You're not going to get in trouble for laughing. You're not going to get in trouble for being happy. You're not going to get in trouble. I don't always, I no longer try to tap into what actually happened. I try to just correct the pattern and correct and get a healthy mindset going. But in this case, it feels like um, we like somehow we got in trouble for doing things that we enjoy, or doing things we enjoy had consequences. So it's almost like, I'm not going to do that again. Um, so there's nobody gets to tell you what you can and can't enjoy. Like, we're unique. We each get to decide for ourselves, like what you enjoy and what I enjoy, maybe two totally different things, and they're both okay. Like, it's okay for you to enjoy what you enjoy. You don't have to judge it as bad or wrong just because someone else did. So we want to just honor these parts of us that have felt that way, and to say it's okay to be unique in what you enjoy. You don't need to shut that down. You don't need to judge it or yourself. That's a little bit what this feels like. It's almost like I can't tell people what I enjoy. It's not safe to tell people. Well, it's okay. You don't have to tell people, but I give you permission. Not that anyone needs my permission, but I give you permission to enjoy what you enjoy unapologetically. You don't have to explain it. You don't need to use your logical mind or brain to give reason to why you enjoy it. It's okay. So we just want to say it's good. Everything, I believe everything is meant to be enjoyed. And so you might be the only person on the planet. Like, I have a niece who loves like insects. I couldn't imagine, but she just comes alive when she is around insects. And I'm so glad. There's got to be someone, right? So, you know, why should whatever it is you enjoy, someone should enjoy it. Like, everybody wants to be enjoyed and valued and appreciated. And that means everything that is out in the world, out in the universe, out in creation. So it's okay that I don't enjoy him the way she does. But let's celebrate. We can celebrate that. Because what it was feeling like is almost like, well, what I like isn't really acceptable in the world. So it's almost like, rather than judging yourself, we're judging the other thing is bad. And that is actually denying our ability to experience joy, because we're wanting to, our heart, our body, we're wanting to enjoy something that we're maybe ashamed of. So we're here to say, no, that's okay. Again, back to notes being just online. We want, I believe we're all instruments. I think we're all identical in the fact that we're all infinite, limitless beings who can play every note from 0 to infinite hertz, notes we've never even heard before. But what makes us unique is we get to each play our own song. We have our own music to play. And so I want to honor the music that you have in your heart to play, and just remove judgments. From that. Okay, I can't tell you, when I do these group sessions, the energy shifts so much faster. Because what's happening, at least what I suspect is what's happening, and what feels like is happening, is if one of you has a block in one area, but one of you doesn't, it's kind of like, come on, come on, this is great. Like we support each other, encourage each other. We get it moving faster. Okay. So I'm still doing ascending energy and I'm just kind of working my way down. I'm now kind of at the thigh area. It's okay for you to enjoy yourself. It's not prideful or arrogant to think you're an amazing person. It's not bad to enjoy being alone. You don't always have to be around people. So it almost feels like maybe there's been some shaming, like, why do you always want to be by yourself? Or, I like being by myself. That's beautiful. The key again in all of this is just not to get stuck in one pattern. We don't want to get stuck always thinking we have to have people around us. We have to be doing, going places to enjoy things. We also don't want to get stuck like, oh, I just want to stay home, be by myself all the time because that's what I enjoy. We want to be able to fluidly go through all of it. So it's safe, valid, legitimate to enjoy yourself. Back to energy traveling in a circuit. The picture is, we're releasing energy constantly and it's going to come back because it also functions like a magnet. And so it literally is what goes around comes around. And so you can play that game with just yourself. You can release joy and receive joy. And that really is enjoying yourself. Or you can release joy and with the idea being the target being another person or a thing or an activity. And then it comes back. But sometimes what can happen is if, let's say we enjoy something, we release that energy of joy, we're excited about it, and then all of a sudden someone else says, passes judgment, like, why do you like that? So again, back to energy carries information. Just think of a radio tower. It's broadcasting at a certain frequency, but it carries information. It can be information of music or news or sports or whatever. So we're like that broadcast tower. We're releasing the information that, oh my gosh, I'm excited about this. I'm going to enjoy this, or I do enjoy this. And then as that energy is being released from you, someone else may take that same signal, that same frequency, and add to it. Well, that's a stupid thing to enjoy. So when it comes back to you, you might then be like, oh, I didn't, if you're not confident, then in your original message, you might pick up other people's imprinting. And so that's part of what we're trying to do here too, is we're just saying, no, it is okay to enjoy what we want to enjoy. And we can receive the message with other people's information on it. But if we allow it to come back into our heart, if we can still just know who we are, love who we are, be confident in who we are, we're just going to take that imprinting and be like, oh, well, if they don't like it, that's okay. I still do. But it's when we decide to judge ourself or the other thing that the energy gets blocked. It just gets stuck. Okay, so I'm still working. I'm moving at the knees now. And the reason I'm telling these stories is because when I do like ascending energy, um, and I'm coming from the feet up, it's the energy that's on the return. It's the energy that's already gone out and now it's coming back. It's starting and stopping. In this session, I'm starting and stopping at the heart. Um, okay, it shifts. And I just usually hold it until the energy pattern kind of just releases. And what that feels like, if it's bumpy, it just kind of goes smooth. Or if there's resistance, it just wants to be pulled. Okay, I'm now going to go from the heart down. This feels a little bit like anxiety, almost like, yeah, like almost like we're wanting to hold back. Like, is it okay for me to enjoy this? Um, or there's that, but there's also, are they going to enjoy me? It feels very personal. Like I'm sharing with the world myself, who I am, and that feels very vulnerable. The key to all of this is enjoying yourself, because this energy is going to come back. And if you enjoy yourself, then it doesn't matter if other people do or don't, because when it comes back to you, you're going to receive it and accept it. And because you enjoy yourself. So this is about knowing yourself. It's almost like even little tiny things, like if someone asks you, where do you want to go out to eat, and you're like, oh, I don't really know, I don't care, but maybe you really do. So it's about expressing yourself, practicing on these little tiny things, because you can say something as simple as I don't care, or I don't know, or if someone says, do you want pizza tonight, and you don't really, but you don't say anything. That may seem like a little teeny tiny issue, but it actually can block the whole river, if you will, energetic flow. So you want to be true to yourself on even these little tiny things. I'm not saying to get your way all the time, but I'm just saying, to honor yourself. Like you can say, okay, it's not, this isn't the opportunity for that, but almost like, I hear you talking to yourself, I hear you, but we're going to do what someone else wants today, but next time we'll do what we want. The key is internal integrity. So all of these sessions, I use the analogy of a roof leak and a puddle on the floor. If you have a hole in your roof and it rains, you get a puddle on your floor. There's always two fronts to healing and to restoring energy flow. The first is, okay, you have to clean up the puddle. If you don't clean up the mess, it can rot, the wood can rot, it can be mold, mildew, all kinds of stuff that are consequences to having water on your floor. But the other issue is, you can clean up the puddle, but if you don't actually fix the roof, a hole in the roof, it and it rains, it can come back. So there, you want to deal with both. The roof, the hole in the roof is the belief system or the mindset that you're living with. What are you believing to be true? And it's really about yourself. Um, are you judging yourself? Are your belief systems causing you to judge yourself or this or the world around you, the people around you? Um, and then the puddle is the blocked energy pattern. It's the, it's going to be the consequences. So what we do in these sessions is I'm always about cleaning up the puddle. Let's get the energy flowing. That's always, it's the blocked energy. But what causes the block is the mindset, the belief system. And so I try to address both, because people ask, well, will it come back? And it's like, it won't once we flip that mindset. That's part of why I started these sessions, is because it blends both. I do mindset coaching, but you want something to disrupt the pattern. You want something to get flow going again while doing the mindset. And I do also I've been trained in a lot of different energy modalities, and they don't usually include mindset. So combining the two. So what I'm doing is I'm going kind of around. And now I'm going to do the descending energy from the crown to the heart. And it feels like there's just a big, this is not an unusual pattern. It feels like there's just a big bubble over, like a beach ball over our head. And sometimes I refer to it as like a high pressure zone. It's where we're resisting the flow of energy back into our body through the top of our head. So let me find out what that's about. So this is, okay, yeah. So this is, you are worthy of amazing things. You are worth enjoying. People do enjoy you. You are fundamentally and inherently enjoyable. It's who you are. It's why you're here. You are here because you were wanted. You are here because you are valuable and important. You are a piece of this puzzle that is humanity, and you're not a mistake, and you're not dispendable. You're absolutely wanted, and not just wanted, but desired, cherished, loved, delighted in. And you are worthy to be enjoyed. You are worth enjoying. You are enjoyable. I mentioned earlier, joy, for us to really experience joy, it is a circuit, it is a cycle. And so we need to be able to express joy, but also be the recipients of it. And back to joy being someone's glad to be with me, or being glad to be with someone. It's you are, even if it doesn't feel like it in your life, like the whole reason you're on this planet, the whole reason you're alive right now is because you were wanted. You were desired. Who you are, who you uniquely are, is important and valuable. And you do have a unique song to play. And it doesn't matter if the people around you don't like that song. It doesn't matter. Do you like that song? Just play your song. And it's a beautiful song, even if it's never been heard before. Think about all the music today that we love and enjoy, that a previous generation would have been like, what? That sounds like noise. That's okay. Like, if you just might be ahead of your time. but play your song, play who you are, own who you are, love who you are. In fact, as you do that, the people, you will start bringing people around you who enjoy you and who you enjoy. You'll start attracting things to you that you enjoy. Okay, that shifted. I'm like I said, I just kind of talk until we hit the mindset that needs to be flipped. Sometimes the mindset is just giving people permission in a way that they didn't know, like, oh, I didn't know. And sometimes it's hitting a negative thought and flipping it. So I'm doing the arms now, and let's see, I'm kind of at the elbows. It just feels like it's the energy of releasing and expressing, creating what you enjoy is getting a little bit blocked. So let me. The arms and the hands are all about. I mean, they're releasing and receiving all the time, but it's creating, expressing with your hands, but also creating, like the work of your hands. This is about building something into this world that's in your heart to build, to create, to release. And it doesn't have to be a physical thing, but it's sort of like just energetically, we want that pattern flowing because we want what's in your heart to be expressed, to be released, to be created. Okay. But back to, I'm going to sound like a broken record, back to things being a cycle. We need to be able to receive it back. Like if we create something that we don't like, because what's happening, what this feels like, if we create something that we don't like, we want to create something new in our life. The key is to actually accept and to receive and to own, if you will, the very thing that you are trying to avoid, like, or the very thing that you created that you didn't want. You just kind of have to say, yeah, I did it. It's okay. Like, I tried, I did my best. Let me try again. Because a lot of times the very part of us that we need to create something new is stuck in a cycle of condemnation, stuck back in another experience that we didn't like. Back to playing a note. If you played a chord that you didn't like the sound of it, and you're like, oh, let me play it again, but then now you're afraid you won't play those notes because you decided that was bad. Or a better analogy, maybe a different analogy, is if you build something with Play-Doh and you don't like what you built, you don't go put that Play-Doh structure in a drawer and say, oh my gosh, I don't want to see this again, I didn't like it. You actually put it right back in front of you and you dismantle it so that you can build something new. But in order to do that, you can't fight it, you can't run away from it, and you certainly don't want to hold on to it. Those are those fear-based responses that keep us stuck. All right, so I've done the arms. What I'm going to do now is I've done every pattern. I've did the ascending, descending, and I did arms. I'm going to go through with another fork just to kind of check, and then we're going to close up. It feels really good though. I'm back to feeling, which is what I want. I'm back to feeling the lightness in the heart. There was a lot of stuff during the session. I didn't necessarily talk, it just feeling a little bit like the gut was tight. Um, so I was kind of waiting for those patterns to release too. Okay, this feels really good. Okay, I close it up the same way. I just kind of sweep everything back into the heart to close that loop, close that cycle. Okay, I'm going to use a fork you can't hear. And I finish with kind of broad sweeping figure eight patterns. I was kind of taught to do it that way, but I have an appreciation for it. Figure eight patterns are great at just kind of helping keep the new pattern, almost like an energetic band-aid, keep the pattern in place. And it's just a very comforting pattern for us. It's like the infinity symbol. But what it's doing is it's balancing left and right, up and down. Like I said, almost like a energetic band-aid. Okay, that was fun. I'm going to come back and we'll answer any questions you guys may have. Okay. All right. That was fun from my end. Let me see you guys. Oops. All right, there we go. All right, well, does anyone have any questions? Comments, thoughts? If you do, you can just open up your mic.
Well, one of the comments from Sally was, thanks for the mindset help you include with your sessions. Today was so rich and transformative. And yeah, today felt really rich. Like there was a lot that was kind of packed in, like having listened to quite a few of your sessions. This was cool. I liked it a lot.
It was good from my end too. It was really wild. It goes so much faster when there's a group. I don't know how else to describe it. It just, the energy just shifts faster. But it was really good. Most of it, well, y'all heard me talk through it, but a lot of it was just really, I would say one of the biggest takeaways is just enjoy who you are, enjoy yourself, like to experience joy. It's, not only looking for things outside, like what's in your heart to enjoy, go do it. And then love that you enjoy it. Love that you, that's uniquely yours to experience and to enjoy. And don't worry about what other people like or don't like. It's kind of the big takeaway. Yeah, is that Tina? Oh.
This was wonderful. I feel very relaxed. Just to take that quiet time and just follow my body as you were talking and going in and out. And at one point I felt all of a sudden like my heart, like we're going to lose a pet is moving on with a person who has to leave our relationship with our family. And I felt that really strong in my heart, like, because he brought me so much joy.
Right.
But that really just all of a sudden that just came out, but it's good because I'm acknowledging it, but I have really set my intention or set my GPS in the last few months for joy. Like I choose joy, and in trying to heal myself and just putting my attention, because as a mom of, you know, I have 20 somethings, a lot of my energy can be taken away. And I found that I was so depleted. And so now I'm just setting my GPS every single day for joy. And now it's getting to the point where I'll see something or do something, and joy is just in my mind every single day. And I love it. And it makes me happy. And it just, whether it be crocheting or whether it be walking my dog and just, you know, breathing in the air, or it's like, this makes me happy. This brings me joy. Watering my flowers and trying to grow lettuce. I'm just like, this is joy. This is good. And so I'm just setting a GPS daily, my intention daily for things that bring me joy. And I feel my spirit has been uplifted. I'm feeling differently.
That's awesome.
Mm.
Well, and just by being intentional about pausing in the moment to acknowledge that you're enjoying something is huge. You're training yourself to pay attention to that. And then joy really is a type of fuel. Like it really can, well, two things. One, when you're not feeling the joy, you're actually going to notice it more. But you can use that same energy to kind of get you through those other times, those other moments. And Joe will appreciate this. We were taught in one of the communities that we're in, they call it a trauma bucket. And I originally learned that concept, like joy capacity. The greater our capacity for joy, the harder it is to be traumatized. And in my world, trauma is when energy gets stuck, when a pattern gets stuck, either on or off. And that's what we don't want to happen. Like for example, this pet, it's okay to be sad, but you don't want to get stuck in the sadness.
Right.
And that's where the joy, you can tap into that emotion of joy. And you don't have to be afraid, like trying to hold on to it, cling to it. That's the good side of the fear. Like you can say, oh my gosh, this is good. I don't want to let go, but it's still a fear-based thing, but it allows you to let it go, which allows new things of joy to come into your life. So
I find myself steering away from anything that doesn't bring me joy. Like I just, if this relationship or this conversation, or it's on my mind constantly now. And I just steer away from it, or I'm trying not to engage in anything that's not going to bring me joy. And I just, it's altering my responses. It's altering my engagement in things. I don't have to engage in everything.
Right. No, right. Exactly.
I know I don't have to give opinions on everything either. I can just listen.
And it is like a teeter-totter. Like Margaret likes to talk about her teeter-totter a lot, right? Like, because there's an area where it's like just moving this one direction, but then it's like, are we challenging ourselves if we're only continuously moving in this one direction that brings us joy? Like maybe there's an area where some of this stuff keeps coming up in our life because there's a response about this subject that we need to choose.
Yeah. And
right. So it's a fine line. It's
right.
But that's where we get that energy to flow through it. Like you're absolutely right. I mean, they're both correct, because sometimes to get through those harder things, we need that to cultivate that joy, because otherwise so many times we get stuck in the negatives, the negative side of things. And it really is about resiliency. Like we want to, the more we have this capacity for joy, grow this capacity. They've just shown it keeps people from being traumatized, keeps them from getting stuck in those negative patterns.
Thank you.
Which is part of, and maybe another way to describe it, and why this group described it this way. And for those who are interested, it was they call themselves life model. And they talk about high intensity joy and then the low intensity joy. But the idea is no matter where we are in life, can we be glad to be there? And ultimately we want to say that for ourselves. Like, can I enjoy, like Margaret, can I enjoy myself? Because if I can enjoy myself, then I'm going to enjoy myself in plenty and in want. I'm going to enjoy myself with people or without people. I'm going to enjoy myself if I have a ton of money or no money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, so that's why joy is this, it's currency. It doesn't have to be crazy joy all the time. I mean, that's fun, but it's just that, you know, if we can cultivate our joy, like you were just saying, we can use it. It's just like having money in the bank. You can just pay all those bills whenever they come your way. So that's awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Thoughts? Comments? All right, well,
Margaret, that was awesome. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Dawn. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, well, this will be, we'll get you the recordings as soon as we can process them. And thank you guys for joining me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Hey, Margaret,
Yes.
can I ask you, how could I get someone to get a session with you?
Oh, the best way to do that is probably on my website. Just reach out to me and we can coordinate it. My Calendly isn't on my website right now. I needed to take it down, but just have them reach out to me.
What's your website?
Oh, tuningintolife.com. All one word. Tuningintolife.com. And Joe, you were going to say something.
Yeah, and sometimes the best thing for some of those people to get the experience with Margaret is just to start taking advantage of the recordings that she already has done on BioEnergetic TuneUps.com. TuneUp.com, not TuneUps.
Yeah.
I'll put both those links in there in the chat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and the website has a link to it as well. Because I've got dozens and dozens of recordings, and so that probably is a good place to start. They can just see if there's anything there that's already been covered, you know, in a recording. Because then people can also try it the privacy of their own home and, you know, whatever. But you reach out to me too. You can reach me there.
And you found, Margaret, that makes the sessions when they do the work with you like that much more powerful too, right? Because they've already been through some of these other layers.
Yeah. I can tell when people have not been doing the work. I'm saying any work, like you can tell. But yeah, the recordings are great. I've gotten amazing feedback from people through the recorded sessions. And by the way, if people have thoughts on recorded sessions, I often am inspired through people's requests and conversations and stuff. So I'm like, they'll say, oh, can you do a session on X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, I tell you what, let me do a recorded session, because that's something a lot of people are going to want. So that is often my inspiration is people's requests.
And this session will become the new free session that's given out on bioenergetichack.com. So anybody will be able to share bioenergetichack.com in like a day, and it'll be this new recording that people receive.
Yeah, we'll edit out. It'll be the audio, and it won't be all of your faces or things like that, but it'll be the audio that I recorded separately. So just in case someone was wondering about that. Yeah. Anything else? Sam, I like your new background. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing part of your Valentine's Day with me, and I appreciated you guys and I've enjoyed it. So y'all have a great rest of your day. And like I said, we'll send out the recording once we get it all compiled. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.